Post-war painting at the Normandy beaches, graphic artist Enkilal invites us into his fantastical universe, and a Paris museum with an enterprising strategy for survival. That's all coming up in today's show. Well, 76 years after the D-Day landings on Normandy's beaches, the memorial in Caen is still an important place of pilgrimage for many. Given the coronavirus lockdown this year, the museum there has lost around 340,000 visitors. But it's now back up and running with a new exhibition showcasing artwork from the Gander Foundation. Mary Schuster and Peter O'Brien got a tour of some of these masterpieces of abstract art.
In a way, they're also historians. Having witnessed the atrocities of the Second World War, 20th century artists tried to express the unspeakable.
Je crois deviner des visages ou quelque chose, mais pour moi, c'est un charnier. Et ces charniers évoquent évidemment la Seconde Guerre mondiale, l'extermination de millions de personnes dans des conditions épouvantables.
In the last 2 years, this museum in Normandy has hosted a number of masterpieces for temporary exhibitions, showing history through a different lens.
Nos 400 000 visiteurs viennent pour l'histoire du XXe siècle. Ils vont découvrir aussi une chose essentielle, c'est que cette peinture est aussi un témoignage historique. Et ça, c'est très important, que la mémoire de guerre n'est pas seulement une mémoire historique, qu'elle est aussi artistique.
The Liberation of Painting brings together 75 works from the Gander collection in Geneva, the first of the visit being this one by Jean Fautrier.
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a de plus extraordinaire que ce tableau que vous avez sous les yeux, de cette femme mutilée, de cette femme déchirée, éviscérée, qui représente tout le drame d'une guerre, tout le drame qui se noue sous les yeux de cet artiste. Et j'en ai fait l'icône de ma collection. C'est ma Joconde.
For artists like Jean Dubuffet, Georges Mathieu and Pierre Soulages, the world after the war was transformed. Their ceaseless experiments with colour and texture are not just a reflection on the past, but a search for a new voice for a free world.
To more contemporary imagery now, in the form of a look at the work of graphic novelist Enkilal. As one of the most popular authors of the bande dessinée or comic strip medium, his albums are bestsellers across Europe. This exhibition highlights some of the lesser-known aspects of his artistic output, including painting, photography and film. Florence Gaillard and Jonathan Walsh went to find out more from the man himself.
Some artists are so famous you can recognise their work by sight. So distinctive and unique is their style. Enkilal is one such artist, and although best known for his comics, he's also a painter and director of films.
Il part sur ce format et il élargit son geste et vraiment il embrasse toute la toile.
Born in Yugoslavia in 1951, the timeless themes of war and dictatorship feature heavily in his work, but so too does the relationship between man, animals, and even machinery.
L'animal fait partie de ces laissés pour compte de cette planète et cette maltraitance me gêne quelque part.
It was in this former convent in Londonau that Hélène and Edouard Leclerc opened their first grocery shop after the end of the Second World War. It's now one of France's largest retail chains, and a foundation has been created in their name. Its aim has always been to entice the world's greatest artists to Brittany, and now it's Enkilal's turn.
Je trouve que c'est un artiste qui a un regard très anticipateur sur l'évolution de notre société. Une exposition comme celle-ci montre des œuvres, un talent, mais montre que cet artiste a vu la crise de l'écologie, les effets sociaux d'une surmondialisation capitaliste. C'est aussi le numérique, l'homme augmenté, mais aussi le risque du transhumanisme qui amène à l'eugénisme.
Bilal likes to play around with the great classics of art history, which is what he's done in this series, The Ghosts of the Louvre. And he's even claimed in his book, Naked with Picasso, to have been asked to pose by the great man for Guernica.
Je témoigne de ce moment absolument redoutable parce que je suis sorti complètement déformé. Mes yeux, regardez le strabisme, je l'ai gardé pendant 1 mois. Et c'est une expérience horrible. Picasso est un tortionnaire.
Fact or fiction, it's hard to say, but fans have until the 21st of January to view the exhibition and decide for themselves.
Here in Paris, the gatekeepers of movie history and heritage are celebrating a man credited with making the French laugh for generations. Louis de Funès is the subject of an exhibition at the Cinémathèque Française. In France, he's long been considered the 20th century's most popular actor, starring in dozens of classic comedies. James Wilson takes a look.
Whatever part he was cast in, Louis de Funès excelled in the role, whether he was playing a ballet dancer, policeman, or even conducting an orchestra.
Merci, monsieur, c'était très bien. C'était très bien.
Now the Cinémathèque in Paris has created an exhibition about his life and work. It's the first time the institution has showcased his life to visitors, and there is particular emphasis on the music used in the films he starred in, something that de Funès had a natural talent for.
Il a une pulsion rythmique en lui qui vient de ses jeunes années, qui vient de l'apprentissage du piano. Et donc, il est fondu de musique. D'ailleurs, il s'intéressait de très près au choix des compositeurs qui allaient mettre en musique ses films.
Most notably, the adventures of Rabbi Jacob, who introduced the music of Eastern Europe to a new generation of francophone audiences. And composer Vladimir Cosma was keenly aware that his work was of great interest to de Funès.
Je devais jouer devant un pianiste professionnel qui était de Funès et lui montrer ma musique et voilà, obtenir de lui l'acceptation du thème, ce qu'il a fait avec enthousiasme tout de suite. Cher Vladimir, vous êtes un très grand...
Cosma still has a letter de Funès sent him afterwards.
Je viens de voir Rabbi Jacob, votre musique est un chef-d'œuvre.
De Funès' career spanned close to 4 decades. And although he passed away nearly 40 years ago, he is still considered the king of French comedy.
Well, staying here in Paris, the Rodin Museum is facing the same challenges as many arts venues: how to make up for the lost revenues during the COVID-19 pandemic. As France's only entirely self-financed national museum, it receives no state subsidies, and so the lack of visitors has been particularly tough. But it's also the only museum in France that's allowed to reproduce and sell some of the work on show, which has been a crucial source of funding now more than ever. Alison Sargent explains.
It's a workshop where the magic of Rodin's sculpting comes back to life. The artist may have died over 100 years ago, but these reproductions are still considered authentic work.
We touch the piece a lot to make sure that we have the same texture. And, above all, we work with our eyes.
3 months of work to create a bronze statue identical to this plaster model, complete with its imperfections.
The little drips that we can see here or here, they're reproduced here. This model provided by the Rodin Museum is faithful to the work of Rodin. That's what counts.
The Rodin Museum is the only national museum in France authorized to replicate and sell the pieces it displays, a welcome source of revenue after the 4-month lockdown closure, and with the full crowd of visitors yet to return.
We were hoping to see 20%. We're actually at 25%, so I'm almost happy. Even if the foreign tourists, especially non-Europeans, aren't here, it will probably take 2 years to get back to normal.
The replicas bring in €3 million a year, a quarter of the museum's budget. But mass producing them isn't an option. For its reproductions to be considered originals, each sculpture can be recast no more than 12 times. Some, like this one, have already reached the limit.
The production is done, but not all the copies have been sold yet. We still have 2 left in the store, so to speak.
One of them is in this gallery 200 kilometers outside of Paris. For €1,080,000, it could be yours.
Here we see the copyright by the Rodin Museum with a date 2015.
Rodin himself chose this system of replicas to help make his work known throughout the world. a wish the museum hopes to continue fulfilling for years to come.
And finally, another exhibition here in Paris which explores the links between the work of Pablo Picasso and the world of comics. It's the first time the Spanish painter's output has been shown in this light, although over the years many graphic artists and cartoonists have tipped their hats to his style and sense of narrative. The show also reveals that Picasso himself was a fan of comics and cartoons. We'll leave you with a preview. Otherwise, do check in back with us for more arts and culture, and you can also follow us on social media too. There's more news coming up on France 24 just after this.